That can only mean one thing. Freak Out Friday, y'all. It's back. And you need to get ready to freak out and freak the rest of us right out along with you. Now, I realized in the break that, well, two things. Number one, when I'm on, I rarely take calls. I mean, they're depending on the topics and whatever, and definitely, we do Freak Out Friday. It's all about the calls. But I don't take calls that often. And Chad, he never takes calls. So I know, we're kind of swimming upstream and going against tendency, but, every time we have done this, folks have answered the call, no pun intended, and called in. Now, the other thing I realized is that I did what I have done so many times. I have failed to once share the call-in number. Not once.
Oops.
No, oops, exactly. So 615-737-9986. And let me tell you this. There have been times when I'm like in the car listening, and I'm like, why have I not put that number in my phone? Because there are so many times when, whoever's on, the guys are on, Chad's on, Matt's on, whatever, and there's something that's like, well, I need to speak up here. And I'm fumbling, trying not to break the law, driving and doing something on my phone. But the bottom line is, and I know a lot of you probably have this like number tattooed on your forearm or something, but 615-737-9986, Freak Out Friday. It's time to call in. So, again, I'm going to share with you the simple ground rules of Freak Out Friday. Call in. That's the first step. Share with us, on air, what freaks you out. And it can be anything. Some people are freaked out by simple, seemingly innocuous things. Some people are freaked out by some pretty significant things. And, frankly, some people are freaked out by really bizarre things. But whatever the case might be, that's what this time is for you to speak up and be heard and let us know what your freak out is. Now, I shared with you in the last hour, the example that I always use whenever we have Freak Out Friday, and that's, my brother, my youngest brother, and Jell-O. Jell-O freaks my brother out. So I don't do it anymore, but I used to, and you know what? I may do it this year. I don't know. I may do it, but I would sneak up on him with, a plate of Jell-O and shake it in his face out of nowhere. And he just freaks out. He loses his mind. So, okay, we got our first caller, and it's like, I used to still do from time to time, a fair amount of speaking and, keynote, that kind of thing. And whenever you get to, the question and answer at the end, always takes that first person to break the ice. Then the floodgates open and everybody joins in. But we got our first caller. And if I could give you a gold star, I would. Now, here's the thing. Who we got with us? Because I can't see the phone. I got to move the phone. Taylor's with us. Taylor, come on board. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Your phone's breaking up a little bit, but we'll get through it. So, Taylor, tell us what freaks you out.
I'm telling you, these little Chinese mosquitoes kind of freak me out. The idea of them freaks me out.
I can see that. I mean, there's concern over that.
Like the whole Bill Gates seeing mosquito thing, like this takes that to a whole nother level.
Well, and it's another threat from China, as if we haven't learned our lesson yet.
Right? When will we, right?
So what's the scoop with these mosquitoes again? I remember hearing something the other day, and why they're a particular threat. But what's the scoop with them again?
I don't honestly. I just heard it earlier from this same station. But I don't know what the deal behind it is. I just know that what good can come of little electronic mosquitoes all over the world, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's such a time-worn sci-fi premise, right? Little mechanic.
It's like an X-Files episode.
Totally. And then you combine that with AI, and oh, Lord. But Taylor, thanks for that. And I'm sure, other people share in that freak out. But thanks for calling in. We got James in. Now, see, I'm from Minnesota, so we would have said Lebanon up there. But, I've been in Tennessee for 34 years, and I know it's Lebanon. So we got James calling from Lebanon. With this, what's your freak out?
Or Lebanon. My freak out is AI. And them not being able to steward it when they roll it out.
Well, they've rolled it out already, my friend.
Yes, sir.
It's out. That cat's out the bag. But yeah, so what's your greatest concern or fear about AI?
The manipulation of our elections.
They managed to do that without AI, though.
Absolutely. But they could really lock the corruption down in that regard with AI, I fear. We do a pretty good job pushing back right now. But with AI, it may be harder to push back. The other side of that coin is the markets.
Now, that's a big one.
Yes, sir.
That's a big one. Because, the possibilities of what could be done in terms of, manipulating, undermining. I mean, that's keeping a lot of people awake right now. That's keeping a lot of people awake. So, so you're not concerned about, the I'll be back, Arnold Schwarzenegger, AI just deciding to rise up and take over. That doesn't concern you at all?
In regards of messing with our infrastructure, the chlorination of our water, things like that, sure, but large robots trying to get into gunfights with us, that doesn't concern me as much.
See, I'm not concerned about the robots. It's the network capability, because we have already had incidents, and to their credit, they self-reported. But Google, and this was like a while ago, a year and a half ago, Google, reported that their AI in their development process had, as is the concern, in developing self-awareness, had actually taught itself to cheat. It had taught itself to lie. And it's the ability, because it's progressing at such a rapid rate. I don't remember all the acronyms, but it's gone well beyond AI to AFI. We're like AGI. We're like 4 or 5 iterations in. So it's the potential of self-aware AI with network access being able to do whatever in only conferring with itself to do whatever. So for me, that's ultimately the bigger concern. Now, I know people are working on it, but that's my concern. Well, James, thank you for sharing that with us. And, that's a widely shared freak out, no doubt. And we appreciate the call. We got Chris in my neck of the woods. My neck of the woods, Columbia. I've lived in Columbia for almost 3 years now. Chris, what do you got for us?
I just moved to Columbia.
Oh, wow. What part of town?
I'm over close. I'm living in Graymere Apartments.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we, when was it? 2.5 years ago, coming up on 3. We weren't intending, we actually started out looking for a place and actually, trying to buy a place that was more kind of out in the country a little bit. And, the deal took forever, kept bogging down. In the meantime, we thought, you know what? We'll just find a place and we'll just move. We'll just put a stake in the ground. And So what we ended up doing was something that I never expected to do in a million years. And we found a house, an old house, classic house, actually historic house, like right in, like a half block from, Garden and whatever. I mean, we're right downtown.
Wow.
And as it turns out, I mean, I love it. It's got, one of those Lord of the Rings staircases that,
Yeah,
But
beautiful.
Yeah. So, I'm digging it. I mean, there are some things, sometimes I affectionately call Columbia broke downtown, the town that needs a coat of paint, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So, Chris, what is your freak out? What do you got for us?
These little computer chips and stuff they're talking about putting in your wrist that has the medical information. You can't buy anything from really without it.
So it's the classic mark of the beast fear.
That's exactly right, brother.
Yeah, and like all of these kinds of things, initially it's sold on the basis of, the potential benefits. This makes it so much easier. And,
Right.
there are, obviously, that's always the way it is. There are advantages, and there are, things in the plus column. But, there are folks, cynics like me, that immediately start thinking about what could go wrong. And, this one, because it's actually in the Bible,
Right.
a lot of people started freaking out about this one early on, like what could go wrong? Well, on the mark of the beast, a lot of things could go wrong. So,
yeah, definitely.
So what's your greatest concern with respect to this technology?
Like you said, it being the mark of the beast, because once you get the mark of the beast, you're destined for hell. You can never spend the rest of eternity with Christ or with God.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's a big deal. The place we are now as a society and a culture, though, what percentage of the population is even, aware or literate with respect to, the biblical aspects of it? That's the thing, because, 100 years ago, man, that was like some kind of Bible sci-fi. But now, different thing.
Yeah, it's happening all around us.
Yeah. Well, Chris, thank you for calling in. And again, we're getting sort of broad-based freakouts today. We're getting freakouts that a lot of people kind of share the same concerns. So, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. So, we got another call coming in from Franklin. We're coming up on a break. So I'm kind of like, the squirrel in the middle of the road right now. I don't necessarily want to start the call, but, Christina, we got you. I'm going to ask you to hold through the break. And please don't hang up, because that's the mark of the beast. When people, call and they're on hold and then they hang up, that's not good. So Christina and Franklin, we got you. Hang on. Hang in there. We're going to come back to you right after the break. It's Freak Out Friday. Des Dickerson with you on WTN on Super Talk 99.7. And we're freaking out. We'll be right back.
No, you don't just hear it.
We're freaking out on a robust Freak Out Friday. I mean, we got the lines are jumping, so we're going to get to everybody. Everybody, just hang with us. We appreciate you calling in. We're going to get to you, but we got Christina and Franklin, who I promised we would get to first. So, Christina, thanks for calling in. And what is your freak out today?
Thank you so much. I've never called into a radio station before.
Well, I'm honored.
I escaped Minnesota many, many years ago. Probably, right after I graduated high school. I couldn't wait to get the heck out of there. But Minnesota used to be a normal, wonderful place.
It
Very
was.
wholesome place, and Minneapolis as well. So I was there to visit my parents, who are in their 90s. And if it weren't for them, honestly, I don't think I'd ever go back.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the airport getting ready to board my flight. I went into the ladies' room. I'm walking out of the bathroom stall, and there were what I thought was a man. So, of course, you can imagine the expression on my face, and the thing, whatever it was, turned and looked at me and said, "I know how to read. Take that look off your face."
Jeez.
And that was on Tuesday. And I was so stunned. I just said, "Pardon me?" I was so stunned. There's a few things I've thought of that I wish I would have said, like, prove it to me. But he, whatever it was, caught me off guard. And then, I come back, and the very next day I hear about this terrible, terrible incident. And this has got to stop.
It does.
This has got to stop. And stop talking about gun control, because it's about mental illness.
Well, it's about mental illness, but it's also about evil. And there's a nexus between the two. But, we have to understand that not everything is fixable, and some things just have to be opposed and dealt with, because there is evil in the world. And, we need to do everything we can about mental illness and every other possible, cause, contributor, whatever. But, there are evil people with guns.
This gender dysphoria, I believe it's been in the books of psychology for many, many years.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know. But come on, it's common sense. So that's all I have to say.
I appreciate your call. It's always good to
freak out moment.
Well, your freak out moment, and at this point, unfortunately, Minneapolis is a very freaky place. So, what are you going to do? I tell you what, we're going to stay in Franklin here. We're going to go to, let me see who we got here in Franklin. Josh in Franklin. What's your freak out? What do you got for us?
My freak out is that we have permanently lost the wonderful dear city of Memphis forever, because nobody seems willing to actually want to address that city's problems. And that may be a bit of a stretch, but my biggest fear is that Memphis is going to stay the way it is or worse, and we won't ever get the great city of Memphis back, because it actually is a great place that's just been left to ruin.
And it's a lot like Minneapolis. Minneapolis, the Twin Cities were wonderful. I grew up there, and it was wonderful. But it's gone now. So what's your greatest concern with respect to Memphis?
That it's basically just going to be a drain on the rest of the state. It's not going to produce, whether that be from the businesses wanting to invest in the city, that it's just going to slowly keep decaying. And we're going to have to limp it along unless there are some seriously drastic changes to the local government. And I don't see that that's ever going to happen, and not to mention the astronomical crime rates. And I know that crime is a problem in a lot of other cities, but the state of Tennessee in particular, that's home to me, and it sucks that we have one of the major cities in our state that I guess could be limiting us from having a better state.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about crime. It creates a domino effect, especially with respect to, businesses and the economy and so on, tourism. So if you don't deal with the crime, it's over. I mean, plain and simple, that's just the way it is. But thank you for sharing. Thank you for calling in, Josh. And again, a lot of these are broad-based freakouts. A lot of these are freakouts and concerns that a lot of people can relate to. So we got Kevin in Nashville. Kevin's been holding for a minute. We're going to get Kevin on. Kevin, come on board. What do you got for us? How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing okay, Des. How about yourself?
I'm doing well.
Well, good. My freak out is back to the AI business. This thing actually it looks like it can get pretty scary. Some of the reports that I've seen where some of the engineers are concerned because they said it seems like it's learning to replicate itself, for one thing.
Yep.
And all of our utility systems are computer controlled.
Wow.
All, if not most of them, are computer controlled in some part of the system. And I've seen where somebody would say, "Well, just unplug it." Well, it's not that simple anymore because it's not like just pulling a plug out of the wall.
No, it's not like unplugging an alarm clock. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It doesn't work
tied
that
into
way.
the power system.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, Kevin, we're coming up on the bottom of the hour. So if you can, kind of put a bow on your thoughts for us.
Okay.
Well, that was a quick bow. So again, this is a big concern for a lot of people, and it's only going to get worse. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back. We got some other people on hold. Hang in there. We're going to get to everybody. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Des Dickerson with you in for Chad Benson. We'll be right back. That's right. You heard it right. It's Freak Out Friday. Oh, freak out. Oh, man. That gives me like 70s PTSD right there. But except for that, like that bass line, man, you gotta love that. Chic. So, Freak Out Friday, and we got it going on. So we're going to continue taking calls. We got some folks holding. And here's what I'm going to do. We got Ricky in Watertown who's been holding for a minute. We also got Brian in Thompson Station. Brian, hang in there for a minute. We're going to go to Ricky first. But folks, keep calling in. Don't let everybody do the heavy lifting for you. You know there's something that freaks you out. Call in and share it, all right? So, Ricky in Watertown, how you doing, my friend?
Pretty good. Top of the evening to you.
Well, I think we're approaching the top of the evening. Or maybe this is the top of the evening. I don't know. But at any rate, what is your freak out, Ricky?
Hey, 60 Minutes done an interview one Sunday night with the man that invented AI. He had a British accent, so I'm presuming it's from England. Anyway, they asked him what he thought about it. He said, well, there's got good points, and it's got several bad points. They said, well, what's the good points? He said, well, it'll help the medical business a lot on figuring out cures for stuff. Said, well, what's the bad points? He said, well, a crook could take your name and address and put into it, and they could find out everything about you, Social Security number, your bank accounts, your access codes to get into them. It could suck every penny you got in the bank out and nobody know what happened. And he said, what really scares me is AI has the ability to reprogram itself. Mm-hmm. He's like, when I done it, I had a backdoor access code where I could get into it and modify it or completely terminate it if it went crazy. He said, AI will develop an access code the smartest programmers on the planet Earth cannot figure out. He said they'll run everything it wants to.
Yeah, it's already AI has the capacity to self-protect. So that part freaks a lot of people out. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Got to hearing the music from Twilight Zone playing when you said that.
Man. So, now, here's the thing, and I want to mention this. And Ricky, thanks so much for your call. Okay. You know, probably the one, endorsement of sorts that I would bring up with respect to concerns over AI, and then the guy on 60 Minutes, had it right. Well, there's some good stuff and there's some bad stuff. But Elon Musk himself has said when he was asked, So what do you think the percentage chances are that with all its benefits that AI could potentially spell the end of mankind? And Elon Musk, in answer to that question, said 70%. A 70% chance that AI could be responsible for the demise of mankind. I tend to take him pretty seriously. I mean, he can be out there sometimes, but that's something that we just need to take seriously. That, yes, good things, bad things. We really got to be on our P's and Q's with respect to the bad things. I mean, that really is it. So, we're going to go to Brian in Thompson Station. Brian, thank you so much. You have held patiently, and it is now your turn at bat. Brian, what's your freak out today?
Hey, Chad. I hope you have a great Labor Day weekend. I'm too blessed to be stressed. When I was a toddler, what freaked me out was methylate, that little brown bottle when you got to scrape your mom would put it on there, and it would burn, and she'd blow on it. Now that I'm an adult, what freaks me out is the mere thought of having all my teeth drilled out without Novocaine, then packed with ice.
Yeah, those are both worthy freakouts. I remember that methylate. There was another similar thing called mercurochrome. Did they ever use that on you?
I have never had the pleasure of that.
It was diabolical and medieval, but I remember that methylate stuff. That's like...
Well, Chad, I also like to make a comment on this AI since everybody's talking about it. Mankind gives birth to AI, and that's kind of like our children. And in the future, you'll be able to send our technology across the light years because it's not a gloppy meat bag like a human. It can be our representative in the universe. And even if we're gone by a meteor or what have you, we'll still survive by AI.
Well, that could be good. That could be bad. Here's the thing, and thanks so much for your call, Brian. There's a film that I reference, every once in a while that was done originally in the 50s and then redone, I think, in the early 2000s. But it's a film called The Day the Earth Stood Still. And it's about, what used to be the common sci-fi theme about some superior intelligence, superior being coming here. The idea of our, the
alien shows up in peace with a gift and we shoot him.
Right. And then all heck breaks loose because it's like the alien has the ability to squish us like bugs. And, but that's a long-standing freak out that's been well represented in Hollywood. The implications are myriad, obviously. But again, my greatest concern and my greatest hope, and I know that this is taking place, is that there are people who are much smarter than any of us who are, what keeps them awake at night is the downside. And they're taking steps now, 24/7, to mitigate the downside, because the downside is real. I mean, the advantages and the benefits are real, but that's the thing, and it's interesting too. Before we take our next call, just since the last time I did this a few months ago, the freakouts were much more sort of personal, anecdotal, whatever. Interesting how much of it this time. These commonly shared things, AI. There was a negative, transgender experience that one caller had in Minneapolis. It's very interesting what's happening. And some of what we've been saying here in terms of we need to wake up, we need to wake up, we need to wake up, we need to be awake. Because in the words of, what was it, Buffalo Springfield or Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young? Something's happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. Well, it's becoming pretty clear to me. So at any rate, we got Gary calling from Nashville. Let's get Gary on the line and find out what's freaking Gary out. Hey, Gary, how's it going?
Matt, how's it going?
Good.
Well, I'm freaking out about a couple things. I'm going to start with priority. Well, first, everyone's talking about the mark of the beast. They're so scared of AI. And as they say that, they're staring at the cell phone that tracks their blood pressure, their heart rate, their fingertips. It's just, people are so, this is my real freak out. I've been a Christian my whole life. And I've really started looking into doing my research. And as a Christian, I was told I was supposed to support Israel. But for what? They don't like Jesus. And I'm just learning this. Jewish do not believe in Jesus.
Well, hang on. There are Jewish believers.
They're believing in Jesus. That's not their Messiah.
No. There are Messianic Jews who do believe in Jesus. There are also agnostic Jews.
The ones that's running our government and the ones that's in Israel, they think Jesus is coming back. They don't believe in Jesus. They believe in Moloch. Read it. They think Jesus was born of a you know what. And Muslims think he was a prophet. And Muslims respect Jesus more than Jewish.
Well, Satan respects Jesus too.
Right now, listen, I'm talking about Israel. I'm talking about Christians supporting Israel. It is the most counterproductive scam of our lifetime that a Christian should ever support Israel because they do not believe in Jesus as the Messiah.
Well, Gary, appreciate your call, and you can tell you're very freaked out. So, the views expressed, that's a topic that a lot of people get on and ride like a hobby horse, and you got to be careful with it, and you really have to know and understand the Bible and not just glom on to one little piece, and there's more to it than that. But at any rate, we have Cindy calling from Winchester. Cindy, what is your freak out? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
Well, this is kind of a local freak out.
Good.
It's the level of Franklin County corruption, and specifically a particular judge and attorney that are burying documented fraud just to cover their butts. And who does a regular person go to expose these people? I'm kind of lost. 5 local attorneys have dumped the case when they find out who all was involved. So without naming names, where does one go to for help? This is kind of my Freaky Friday that this corruption is just being not looked at.
Well, and I definitely affirm your concern, because I will say this, that we have, especially those of us, baby boomers, Gen X, etc., we were raised to have this unshakable, unquestioning confidence in, the systems of power. The judicial system being, one of the main among them. That, you hear it all the time. Well, the system works. Well, I'm here to tell you the system doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So what can a normal person who's a nobody, how do you fight this?
Well, are these elected officials that you're talking about? You mentioned one was an attorney.
One's an attorney, one's a judge. And then there were local attorneys that take the case so far, realize, who they're going up against, and they dump the case. I don't know what else to do.
Well, unfortunately, what you have done is you have lifted up the curtain, and now you see how the sausage is made. And the reality is the sausage has been made this way for a long time. Because remember,
I'm hoping that some of your readers or some of your listeners might have some advice or something.
The only advice I can give is wherever you can be involved and apply leverage, do some research, educate yourself.
Yeah.
There are organizations that deal with and address some of those issues, but sometimes the organizations themselves have issues. Sometimes some of the advocacy groups are the most heinous and dangerous of all. So I would say first of all, peace be still. And secondly, dive in and learn as much as you can and network and find, like-minded people who share the same concerns. So, some of the solutions are not instant. Some of the solutions are, mama, don't raise your babies, don't let your babies grow up to be thugs. Some of it is, your kids need to go to law school. Some of it's not going to happen in our generation, unfortunately. But I share your concern. And anybody, if you have ever had the misfortune of being thrown onto the moving sidewalk and thrust into, quote, the system, my Lord, that's all I can say. All right. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for your call. And thank you for sharing that local freak out. And, we'll be praying for you because that's another big part of it. Another big part of it. All right. So we're going to move on. We're going to take a call from, let's see who we got here. We're going to take a call from, I'm going to take a call from, I'm coming up on a break. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and try to get a couple more calls in before we're done for the day. Des Dickerson with you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll be back. All right. Getting ready to head back into the clubhouse. We got David in Nashville holding. David, you had the honor of the last word on Freak Out Friday.
Okay, I'll try to make this brief. I haven't heard about it in a while, but do you remember the bioengineered meat?
I do.
My doctor suggested that he thought they might be using cancer cells to make that meat because they grow and reproduce quickly. They feed on sugar. It's cheap to maintain, and that might be a sneaky way to try to control and reduce the human population.
Well, and that conclusion, that's a deep one. I will say this, though. The move toward, artificial meat, you name it. First of all, there's nothing wrong with real meat. So I'm going to stick with that. But, there are concerns and there are possibilities. There are outcomes that people with nefarious intent might be working toward, and we have no idea. But I will say this. You can't go wrong with some farm-to-table stuff that you know what it is and where it came from. And that's where I'm at, along with real sugar. So, hey, Des, it's been great. Des Dickerson, it's been great to be with you today. So appreciate the opportunity. Chad will be back. I look forward to being with you next time. Enjoy the rest of your long weekend, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.